Hello and welcome to a video where we are just going to talk about quite a lot of the excitement of set 10, and I've just got 5 cards that I think are my chase cards and my top favorite cards, my cards I want day one, the ones that I find the most impactful, the most fun. I'll admit the first one on the screen is not the funnest. It's very standard, just a tool that's going to make Sapphire a lot better, but you know, I think we're in for a very good set. Set 10 looks very exciting to me. I think the only criticism I've seen mainly from people is that it's a bit pricey to get a lot of these cards that are on the list. There is, to be fair, only 2 of them are legendary. Oh no, 3 of them are legendary actually. So it is going to be a bit of a pricey set. I understand that. It's kind of hard with Lorcana right now. Like the legendaries are the big bomb characters that we get added to the game, and they can fetch big price tags like Dumbos have and stuff like that. But you know, it's still fun, and I guess that's the only real drawback, and I can only say that's just part of TCGs really. Hopefully there'll be, I think there's still quite a few viable decks. I think a lot of the Amber Steel aggro is still going to be a very viable deck in set 10. So I think there's a lot of price tags on these legendaries, and the 3 that I'm going to go through. I've got 5 cards here, so 2 aren't. But you know, on top of that, they're just fun cards that I think are pretty good, and I guess I'm very fortunate enough to look outside of the price tag when it comes to this hobby. It's just something that's just absorbs my life, so if I need playset of Cinderellas, I end up getting a playset of Cinderellas. But enough of that. I think set 10 is going to be really fun and exciting, and here is some awesome cards that I think really shake things up. And for starters, we go with Cinderella, Dream Come True. So I think what this just does for everyone is all the Sapphire decks basically get more consistent. All the Sapphire decks except for Blurple, I think. All the decks that kind of just want to really hit that top end ink count with like playing Clarabelle's, playing Hades, playing Goliath is the new one. Playing loads of really expensive stuff at the top end. It allows you to do that a lot better with Cinderella, because prior to this, like I said in my Sapphire Steel deck guide, we didn't really have a thing. We wanted to ramp on 2, and then we wanted to ramp on turn 3, giving us double ink. You know, we wanted to play Sail into Pleakley, but Pleakley's never really been that great. No one really likes that card that much. Also requires that you ramped with a Tipo, or you got a 1-drop on the board, you know, just to get to those higher ink counts. It just never felt amazing. Whereas this, it feels very functional. You've got a lot of princesses in there that already tribally work in there. You know, you could play things like Mulan, Namari, like a lot of the Jasmine cards, Auroras. There's just loads of different stuff you can already like put in with this for it to work, to get a bit more like functionality out of the tribalism of it. If not, it just treats itself as seeing a princess the turn it's played, so you only really need to be ramping on that turn. It kind of like works as how far you go, but you get an extra body as well. So altogether, it's just going to give those Sapphire decks a bit more functionality, sort of just going forward, and just get a bit more smoother. You know, I think it kind of is, in my opinion, kind of needed for these decks. I know a lot of people don't like them. They never like the Ruby Sapphire Sharks. They never like these big control Sapphire decks. But before, you did have how far you go. You had this 4-cost ability to ramp further, and it gave you a bit of card draw as well, gave you a bit of utility. Getting that kind of functionality back into the game just means these decks can actually operate a lot better and a lot smoother and do their thing more. So I'm really happy with that. It's a really big boost for Sapphire Steel, because right now Sapphire Steel just wants to ramp and achieve a higher ink count, play bigger bodies. Like it's not this item dime deck anymore. It's playing these huge big bodies as early as it can, all these Steel and Sapphire characters. So altogether, I think it's really cool. I think if you're a Sapphire player, you definitely just get 4 copies of this card. Like, you need it from the start. It's most likely going to be a staple on every deck. Just does so much, provides so much for the deck. So yeah, for like Ruby Sapphire, even Sapphire Steel, Green Blue, like all of those decks, like just all, yeah, great utility as. I think Blurple struggles with it because it just ramps on 2 and then it plays like genies and stuff, and maybe it won't be the best for that one. But you know, all the other Sapphire decks just seem to drastically improve with this. And Princess Tribals is really fun. The next one as well, we've got Goliath is my 4th most excited card. It's one that probably, like, I don't know, I'm very excited for it. I do want to place it of it, because I feel like it is also still swappable. Like, you don't need it to run this week 1. Maybe it's not one I go out and pre-order a playset of it, but if it's a really fun card, I think the funness of it I enjoy more, and I think the very in-depth ability to use its ability called Dusk Till Dawn at the end of each player's turn. If they have more than 2 cards in hand, then you choose and discard cards until they have 2. If they have fewer than 2 cards in the hand, then draw until you have 2. So basically you get this dock effect. It has the Stone by Day feature that all the gargoyles have. You know, if you have 3 or more cards, it doesn't ready if it's exerted. But it comes in with this built-in dock effect, and I think you'll find these amazing. I talked about it a bit on the Sapphire Steel video. You're getting these amazing moments where it's like, how do I utilize this card the best? Because if I play it, my opponent could also be in a spot where they're going to gain 2 cards a turn, and they can put those 2 cards on the board and then draw 2 more cards, and then just play them and then draw 2 more cards. And as long as this character is alive, they can keep getting that factor. Like, but I'm also going to be getting that as well. So like, how do I benefit them mainly from this? And I think you'll find interesting matchups where Goliath, you'll play Sapphire Steel into maybe Emerald Sapphire, and you can play this card down. They'll play whatever card they play down, you know, whatever, and then when you play this card down, sorry, they'll play their stuff down. Of course they will. You'll get to a point where you discard their entire hand, because they could be quite greedy. They could be inking it all for a Clarabelle, but basically they won't be getting any Clarabelle value out of it. And then you get to this point where you're both drawing 2 cards a turn if they don't Hades it, if they don't Basil bounce it. And what you're doing is saying, like, I'm going to say that the card quality in my deck is going to be better than yours. So the 2 cards that I draw a turn and put on the board are just going to be stronger than yours. And sometimes against green blue, that can definitely be the case because, you know, a lot of their deck is combo pieces. They've got, like, if you draw the song, the MMS song, they put 1 damage across the board. And then you draw a Tipo, like, that's not great. If they draw the Phillip and then no, like, way to use it, they've got a 9 cost. They can't really do much with it. Of course, on the flip side, Sapphire Steel does have things like Tipos, maybe Hooks or Jasmines that are quite cheap and not very good, but the majority of that deck is just the reason to play that deck is just to get to a high ink and play a big thing every turn. So I always like playing Goliath into that. You can create these really interesting board states, but say if you're playing Sapphire Steel versus maybe Amber Steel, where they're like, I get to play Dock every turn, great, I'm just going to take that effect, and also I get to play Might, so if I draw a Dock as well, I get to use that Dock, so I could double Dock you in this turn. It might be an interesting card to play there. You probably wouldn't want to play it in that matchup. Same with Amethyst Steel, they could be going just mega wide and going wide, and then the minute they don't want a Goliath on the board, they could remove it with some sort of steel removal. So I think the card is really fun and interesting. I think it takes very good skill to use it effectively as well, and that's kind of why I put it on my 4th on my list. I just think it's a really fun card, and I still think it has like a lot of viability in the meta as well. And the 3rd place one goes to Lexington. So this is one of my 2 non-legendary cards that I really like. I just think this is going to be a staple in all of the steel decks, at least going into the beginning, because we're gone from a meta where, evasion was very, very popular and it was a very big thing in the game, to maybe evasion won't be that big because we have cards like this, which is just on 3, we're going to have play a character that can deal with a Dumbo, a Genie, well, no matter what it is, you know, and also survive as well because of the 4/4 stat line. Just think that's really, really impactful. I would just think on top of that as well, a 4/4 body is just really good. You know, on that turn, it's like playing Lawrence without any. Lawrence, of course, gets its 2 questing ability. Cobra gets its discard ability. They both are 4/4s, but this generally has no. You can't ping this like a Cobra and it disappears with fire the cannons. You can't ping this and it loses its strength like Lawrence. It's just stat line there. It does have the Stone by Day feature, but to be honest with you, I think you're going to get into the habit of playing around. I've played quite a bit of set 10 and it just feels like the Stone by Day feature when put in the correct deck. I think maybe Amethyst Steel is the only one that like kind of negatively is affected by this, but Amber Steel, Green Emerald Steel, all those decks, like they're fine with playing this card. Like if they want to use it effectively, they'll get it down, they'll dump their hand before their turn where they can like ready up again with this. And I found some interesting games as well when I played against some Amethyst Steel. Like when I've had daisies out, I will daisy quest and they will take the card draw, which will mean that they've actually gained enough cards to be 3 or more, so that this character won't ready on the next turn. You know, maybe they've exerted it, they've gone to my turn, and I quest out of my daisies, get their hand up to 3 or 4 cards in hand. When it comes back to their turn, this character won't ready. So there's some interesting things we can learn there. I'm pretty sure a lot of the green players are learning that those like interesting little moments as well with you're welcome and whatever, or just bouncing cards to the hand to mean that the Stone by Day feature activates and then those gargoyles don't ready. I think it's really cool. But for me, like, I don't think I can talk too much about this card. It's just all real well unstatted. I think week 1, great card. It's only an uncommon, probably in all steel decks, and hey, let's be honest, I only really play steel decks. I play Blurple as well from time. I play anything really in the meta. I play anything that seems fun and new, but steel has always been like my favorite color to play, so I definitely want to play 4 of these in I was about to say 3 for a second there, that's a different game. 4 of these in every in every steel deck going into week 1. I think even maybe the Amber Steel aggros as well, they might want to try this card out, because stat wise it's just really good rumbler. You know, it can fight the board quite early, and for Amber Steel, definitely having 2 or less cards in hand is just a very achievable goal if you need it to ready up again. So awesome card, generally goes in my 3rd favorite card of the set. Second one is Mowgli, and it feels great for me. Like, this is what I mean. There's a huge price. I didn't realize it was super rare, but it's a super rare. But it's not a legendary, so that's something. Going into like this set, you've got all these huge decks that, you know, it's like, I need 4, like all the Sapphire decks, I need these 4 Cinderellas, and like all the purple decks, I need these Demonas, and these big control ones. I want to try out Goliath, and I want to play 4 of them. I think there's a very big argument for Amber Steel to say, hey, just put Mowgli in your deck and you'll be able to run the deck very functional for the good start of the set, and we'll see how things go from there. So really, you can go down to your locals and say, right, the only thing I need is 4 copies of this card, and I can update my Amber Steel. Completely understand that not everyone likes to play that deck. It's a very fast, it can be very a disheartening deck to play against, so people don't love it and don't always have it in their hearts, but there is a lot of Amber Steel players that do love it. And I think as well, going into, all I did was to enjoy this card, and why I ended up really loving it is I asked, like, hey, I want to update my Amber Steel, I want to be able to play Amber Steel in set 10, what do I do? And most people in my testing group said, this was the advice I was given, was take your least favorite card from your current set 9 Amber Steel deck and just swap it out for Mowgli. So I took one of the top 32 lists from Milwaukee. I took Rob, who's a lovely friend, took his list. He managed to get in top 32. He just had this full 4x list. It was like 24 Inkables. I just took the Calhoun out, I put Mowgli in there, and it again just functioned completely fine. And you have this now bare necessities effect where you get to play a body on the board as well. Like, I know it's the thing that your opponent gets to choose, but let's be honest, no one's deck is that dense on non-character cards anymore. And if you go into the moment where maybe they're playing Cinderella into a Spooky Night, you know that they're going to probably play Spooky Night, and they're going to be down to about 3 cards in hand. You know, one of them's going to be Spooky Night, you play Mowgli and you take it, and then you set them really far back. And the same can be said for Under the Sea. Green-blue tends to want to ink its hand like quite a lot because it wants to ramp very high, and then it wants to play Clarabelle and get value off it. Mowgli comes down, you know, you take advantage of those small hand sizes. Into steel decks, the only card they're really going to have in their hand is Strength of the Raging Fire. Some of them might ever fire the cannons. That's the only time it ever feels a bit rough. But even still, Mowgli, you either going to, when you do it, it's either going to be that you check that they have that, you check their hand and they have no action-based removal threats. They either do have one and you take it, or you take something and thin their hand down. Like, it always just feels great. Like, just, there are some matchups I don't think you need to play it. I think into Blurple, you don't need to play it. You do it. You take what from them? You take like a Second Star to the Right or that new Woodchuck book. Like, you know, you should be winning that matchup anyway with Amber Steel aggro. So it just feels like it's never negative to have this card. I know it's only a 1/2, but that just putting it's bare necessity, but you getting a body. And I think the worst thing as well with bare necessities was always that it meant that you had to choose to either pay 2 ink, which meant you weren't establishing another body. It meant you had to have a character sing it, which meant that one of your characters wasn't gaining you 1 lore that turn. This one is doing all the things you want it to do. It's getting your 1/2 body on the board. Quest for 1, whatever, it doesn't matter too much. You know, you're getting bodies for strength. You're getting more stuff that quests, more stuff that's obnoxious and on the board and keeping things busy. Just all around really good, important card that I think just week 1, you put it in your Amber Steel and you're ready to go, and you can compete with all of those big Sapphire, Spendy, Demona, 4x tryhards that you're going to have locally. I think it's that fun of a card. I think I don't know too much about dogs. I don't play green-yellow dogs. It looks a little bit rough for that deck this set, but I think even then, you know, maybe not Mowgli because they have Ursula, but you could still put in cards like this. They're going to have loads of different I'm trying to also, at this tangent point here, I'm just trying to state that there are other decks where you can just add in things from their set 9 version and keep playing at your locals, so don't get so upset with all of these new expensive cards. You know, you can get Raja in green yellow dogs or whatever like that. Probably try Mowgli in there. Why not go Jungle Book style and stuff and bring that card into there. But yeah, I think there are quite a few decks where you can just add a couple cards and you can start competing week 1. But on that tangent of my enjoyment for Mowgli and my enjoyment for putting 1 card into a set 9 list and playing set 10, we'll go on to my final one. And I think my final and my favorite card, it's one of these cards as well where I'm not entirely sure if I'm using it in the correct way, or I know what the correct way is, or what even is the correct way. all around, this card is just an absolute joy to play when you play it, and your opponent has one of the most horrible times against it if you don't have the ability to shut off the shift line, which via the cannons is really the only appropriate answer to it. Is Webby vanderquack, the junior prospector, and it's a shift on 2 ward, and whenever this quest, if your opponent has more card in their inkwell than you may put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down exerted. I think maybe at the start, because of the gargoyle cards and the Cinderella, it was very easy to overlook this card, but most people are seeing in testing, I mean, I put a tweet out saying I think it's my favorite card of the set. It ends up being, yeah, it's generally my favorite card. I definitely want to get 4 copies of this week 1. But looking at all of those fun things, you know, like discarding hands, drawing 3, huge bodies, ramping, I think generally one of the most impactful things will be this. You've got green-blue sort of control decks now that can set up 2 like if they set this up and then they get another 4 quester, if they get 2 of these set out, they basically have the ability to sing Under the Sea, and the only way to ever defeat this is to sing Under the Sea against it, because they both have ward. The Monas kind of do screw things up a bit there, but generally getting this out early, it's really fun for ramp mirrors, where you can sort of quest with this, get the ink from that, then ink for turn, then ramp, and sort of like jump back in front of them. So for like green-blue mirrors, for aggressive decks that want to utilize her, maybe dogs, like I was mentioning, that's why dogs was on my mind a bit there as well, or like maybe some aggressive green steals like the Chromacon builds and stuff like that, that play a more aggressive line. I don't think this was great with Chromacon, but decks that play more aggressive line that are green, you now have a character that you play on 2, has ward, and it also can ramp for you, meaning that you protect your hand size, especially for dogs, you know, saying that, and you also get to keep 1 card in hand now, you don't have to ink it, but you do ramp, so you can, you know, keep playing the game. I think it's just huge. Like, we're playing with fairly little hand sizes unless you pick purple, which is just ridiculous hand sizes now. This card can just preserve that a bit more for you. If you're on the draw, you know, you'll always be trailing by 1, so you can just quest with it and not have to ink every turn. Has ward, sings strength, sings thunderbolt, quest for 2s, 2 4s, awesome. And as well, I didn't have the character, but I think it gives me these Rhino vibes as well, where, you know, the 1-drop Rhino was not really that overhyped. It was the -1 strength. Of course, you just play it because you want to play the shift line. Webby vanderquack has a very similar scenario where her 1-drop is a 1/2 and give +1 strength or something, but that's amazing when you pair it with something like a Calhoun that can now take out a Daisy, or you're doing some crazy stuff with World's Greatest Criminal Mind, which I've seen with the like green yellow circle of life type stuff. Like, it's just so much more fun with it. That little 1 strength can make all the difference, you know, buffing up a Captain Hook, or buffing something so it can take out a Nala, and your like weenie characters like your Daisy can now put the damage onto the Nala, so your other 1-drop lady can take it out. Like, all these amazing things. Like, I just think it's such a cool card, and both them comboed. I should have probably got the 1-drop on the screen, but again, it's a 1/2 that just buffs strength by 1, inkable 1-drop. Awesome card. I think this card is like game changing. I feel like green has got so much this set. I mean, most people are going to the green blue Prince Philip combo thing, but this card just definitely deserves a home somewhere. It does give me a bit of Clarabelle vibes, where Clarabelle, when she came out, it was very easy to read the card and say it was very powerful, but it didn't find too many homes to begin with. Now it's everywhere. Like, we've had 2 sets where it's been a home, but I think this one just fits perfectly into the aggressive green decks, fits perfectly into any of the control ones because of the ramp aspect. It's just all-round amazingly fun card, and I really like playing it. And even as well playing like Webby mirrors, where we've both got 2 out, and it's like trying to figure out how to kill your opponent's Webby. It's just fun because of the ward factor. I just think all-round amazing card. It's generally just really excited me, which was very interesting because, of course, we had the same for everyone. We looked at all the Goliath stuff, Cinderella, wow, all this stuff's really cool. No, it's a shift 2 duck card that I really enjoyed the most this set. So definitely is my number 1 chase card for the set. I don't think I have any ability to manipulate markets or anything by me saying this card is good, go get it. But I would say this card is good, go get it. I don't think I have any ability to do that. But yeah, I just really like it. Probably try and get an enchanted of it if I pull one. Probably wouldn't sell it, but awesome card. They're just my top 5 really. I think impact from the meta wise, I think Webby is probably up there, and then Mowgli is next, and that's kind of the order as well I tried to put them in. Maybe Cinderella would go right to the top, but it just feels very staple and boring for me. But it's still a very, very good card. But top 5 cards that I'm most excited for going into set 10, which launches on like 2 days from now.